Hi, today I'm with my two friends and we are going to all share our opinions about In Cold Blood, but also we're going to talk about three different aspects: mental health, lifestyles, and beliefs and values. So, Camila, let's start with you about talking about lifestyles.
Okay, the aspect of lifestyles is protagonized in Cold Blood throughout a detailed examination of both the big text, the Clutter family, and the preparation Richard Dick, Holt, and Perry Smith. Capote provides extensive background information on the Clutters, offering insights into their daily lives, values, and relationships with the community.
This, Camila, is a really good aspect because the author talks about the two different things: the murders and the family, and it shows the different lifestyle that they had and the different situations in their life to understand this big contrast between both of them and their situations. This also affects mental health. This because Capote talks about also the background, such as Camila also mentioned, because he mentions he talks about the childhood of both of the murders and their childhood. So he tries to emphasize into take into account the empathy that we need to have with all humans. He also comes up with this question that is the nature of the criminal behavior, or there's another aspect that we need to take into account to consider a criminal behavior. Also, we can an example of the book is that Harry struggled with this inside demons. That is a very complete, complex thing that he mentions, because he tries to develop the situation of this character, taking into account that he has this kind of mental health issue that could also affect in his natural behavior. And then he talks about this question that I last talk about, that is the nature of the criminal behavior and the role of the mental health in these situations. Now, Juan Jose, what are you need to mention about beliefs and values inside the book?
Okay, so my topic is beliefs and values all around the book of In Cold Blood of Truman Capote. So first of all, I have to tell that there's small town, and in all small towns there's certain values that you can take into account. So for example, in the book we can see that due to be a small town, they have different values that maybe a big city could have. Also, we can see that Capote try to understand the perspective of each, the perspective of the murder and the perspective of the victims, and try to give a value and try to understand all their rights. Also, we can see that the author talk about the impact of the crime on society, and he explored a lot of values and beliefs around all the story of the murder. And I also see that there's a human complexity. So Capote's work with challenges and stereotypes to examine, as I said before, the two aspects and the two lives, a life of a murderer and the life of a normal human. And that's it.
Now we're going to make a little conclusion. So Camila talked about the lifestyles in which she mentioned the different perspectives that we need to take into account for analyzing someone. So she also take into account the lifestyle, a more comfortable life that had the victims, and the other perspective that the murders had. So that's make emphasize in the values and aspiration, contrasting this with the different situations and difficulties that had the each part of the story. In my case, I can make a conclusion in which that we need to take into account and to analyze really well in the way that people grew, so we can understand their childhood, because he mentions that emphasizing in this impact, in the impact that the childhood and experiences made, could also understand their mental health and the problems that they had. And in the other hand, we can say that Juan Jose talk about more like the different aspects and perspectives that each one had, taking into account also the context of the story that was the town, and like taking into account like all the things that they believed before this murder and after this. And now we're going to ask each one of us what was the thing that you most like and the one that you really didn't. So Juan Jose.
So the thing that I most liked about the book was how Capote's like narrate a story and how it tells like all the actions that occur during the book, and how it described it. And in general aspects, I didn't like anything about the book. I think that it's a great book and it could be really interesting if you focus on
Like
it.
analyze it in a really good way. In my case, I really like the way that they try to make the murders like not as the bad, like the worst. Like I know that the action were like really bad, but they also like the author also tried to empathize with them, like to understand how their childhood like affects their mental health. So I really like that. In the other hand, like things I like really didn't like, maybe the way that sometimes could be confusing to understand the book, but I think that it also extends our vocabulary, so that could also be like a good thing about it. Now we're going to show examples and tell you examples that are related to each of the concepts. Let's start with beliefs and values.
So we can see the beliefs and values, for example, in the
In the book.
Clutter family, yeah, that we can see the Christian values. So we can
In the
see,
family.
yeah, in the family. So we can see how the father are like nice to everybody, and how he are really generous, and how all that values that as a family they have, they can spread to the others. So we can see the beliefs and values in that aspect.
And we
of the book.
consider that a belief is the Christianity. Okay, in my case, the In Cold Blood like novel tries to focus in the mental health with the two different characters, Perry and Dick, taking into account that Perry has a schizophrenia and Dick has a depression. Both of these are considered like mental illness, but also affects their mental health. Taking into account that is really important to like remember that this is a non-fiction novel. Taking into account this, the author provides and like the perspective of both of these mental illness, taking like and comparing them to their actions. This shows to the audience that it's a psychological like struggles that these struggles with them, and it's also like a kind of difficulties for their motivation.
Then the contrasting lifestyles of the mothers, Perry Smith and Richard, provide a stark comparison, highlight society divides and the consequence of their actions.
So it basically tells and shows how like their consequences divide social, like for example someone that like a society considers them bad is separated from the like society. So that shows like the different lifestyles, like different like the social is divided and the different lifestyles like they have. So these are the three examples that we took from the book to analyze these three concepts.